Let's move on now to I want to get to I think 4 and 5. This ACA stuff. Well, first, actually, let's play the Durbin one about not being able to. I'm looking for the sound sheet. Can't find which tab I have it.
Where's the sound sheet? Shit.
Elusive.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I know.
God damn it.
Yeah, let's do Dick Durbin. So Dick Durbin is on ABC This Week with George Stephanopoulos, saying that Democrats can slow the process of SCOTUS, but they can't stop the outcome. And this is not news based on anyone who heard what we were talking about last week. The key is, we'll talk about it later, but the Dems need to use this opportunity of them losing to highlight the stakes of all this. So here's Dick Durbin.
And Senator Durbin, I want to begin where what John Carl was talking about. He said he's spoken with Democratic strategists to say you all have no procedural silver bullet to take this beyond the election. Is that true?
It's true. And there have been 2 Republicans who've spoken out already, Senators Murkowski and Collins, that said they won't support this procedure before the election. If 2 others decide during the course of the debate to stand up and take the same position, then we could have a different timing, perhaps a different outcome.
But what I read a piece by Adam Gentleson, who was a top staffer for Harry Reid, earlier this week. He suggested Democrats could gum up works in the Senate. They could systematically deny unanimous consent to meet. They could have a series of quorum calls. That's not good enough?
I know Adam. I like Adam and respect him, but he's wrong. We could slow it down, perhaps a matter of hours, maybe days at the most, but we can't stop the outcome. What we should do is to address this now respectfully, but understand the context, George. Senator Mitch McConnell, who could find no time to attend the negotiating on the coronavirus relief package that we need to put together for the pandemic facing our country, for the unemployed people, for the businesses. Senator McConnell refused to attend those meetings, didn't have the time to do it. And yet when this vacancy occurred, he dropped everything. Now we're going hell-bent on getting this done before the election. And the second thing, of course, he had to reverse the position he took 4 years ago, saying that we should wait for the next president to fill the vacancy. And then watch as his caucus marched in one after the other, looked down at their shoes and said, we've changed our mind too. We now agree with Senator McConnell.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like they can actually say, hey, we'll do this Supreme Court justice if you, for instance, give another $1,200 check on a recurring basis until the economy recovers. But they should be talking about that stuff as if that's what they wish they could demand. Mm-hmm. But let's move and tack on this Ducey clip, number 4, where now the Republicans are a bit, maybe not worried. I think they're worried about making this Supreme Court seating about the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
You should not be surprised that the Democrats are using the Affordable Care Act. That is exactly how they won back the House a couple of years ago. They think that is a roadmap to success this time, given the fact that there is a global pandemic where over 200,000 Americans have died. But nonetheless, for Debbie Stabenow to say...
Pause it. Ooh, 200,000 Americans have died and they don't want to lose their health insurance. Ooh, what a dirty wedge issue.
Yeah, it's not
nonetheless
fair. Yeah, it's like when you're complaining about like the wind direction in like an outdoor sporting event or something like that. Like, yeah, it turns out that these sorts of things become more urgent, not less, in the time of crisis. But yeah, go ahead.
That she would be the vote that takes away the Affordable Care Act, which we heard a moment ago. Senator John Kennedy had this observation about his colleague.
Senator Stabenow is my colleague, and I consider Debbie a friend, so I say this gently. Sell crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here. Unless Debbie's clairvoyant, I don't think she knows how the nominee is going to vote or any other member of the United States Supreme Court.
Listen, coming up in about...
Yeah, I mean, John Kennedy is talk about selling crazy somewhere else. John Kennedy looks like the type of guy you would not want to see what happens in his house after dark. Like, what a bizarre sort of clown. Like, look here, we'll go to this very credible statesman, and it's that. Well, look, I don't know about Stabenow. I like her. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope they make as much hay out of it as they could in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I worry that this repetitive message of stop them from taking it away as opposed to help us give it to you isn't going to pay as many dividends as it did in 2018.
Yeah, diminishing returns on that for sure. I don't know how often they'll be able to go to the well on that, but they're doing it for now, it seems.
Yeah. And like I would just reiterate what we talked about. I think it was Matt Stoller, a tweet thread, but basically the sequencing of this ultimately, in terms of really challenging the Supreme Court, not just using this horrible situation for political advantage. The only way we're really going to challenge the Supreme Court is if Congress gets its act together and starts passing things the American people want, and the Supreme Court is the obstacle to that. Talking about it doing things that have already sort of been, previously like political footballs. I don't know. I don't know if that's never going to never going to lead to structural change, I don't think.
Well, this is part of the problem with the liberal conception of the world, right? Because the Supreme Court, while it was actually never meant to be any kind of progressive or activist force in the world, it was designed to be small c conservative from the very beginning. Nevertheless, it did have a pretty progressive era in the middle of the 20th century, but now it is seen primarily as the main thing guarding this progress, these gains that were made. It's a defensive force, and the idea that we should be going on the offense is like basically a new thing to certain liberals out there.
Yeah, it's just, you think about it in American history. Trump put Andrew Jackson on the wall of the Oval Office, one of his first orders of business. Andrew Jackson said the Supreme Court can go F itself because I'm going to kick the Native Americans out, basically, right? Like, that is a body that politically can be ignored if you have the will to do so. And not the will, but also the power to do so. You need both those things, but it can be done. And the sad thing is it's only ever done typically in one certain direction, and it's in a reactionary one. And I mean, I think the left needs to basically have an Andrew Jackson moment, but for good things, actually. And guess what? Like, I think the people will get behind you if you fight the Supreme Court and have this epic battle about, are we going to be able to make healthcare right in this country, or is this body of 80-year-olds going to stop us? That's the way to get rid of the Supreme Court. That's the way to do it. So, the court needs to be delegitimized in the eyes of the people, full stop. And that seems like it's happening. I would not ever expect the Democrats to do this right, because they still seem to view the court as this sacrosanct thing that you can't mess with. But, we'll see.